the reality is, people do not care about your bad Spanish. In fact, many times it's the exact opposite. But trust me, the more and more that you are speaking the language, the more and more comfortable and confident you are going to become. Are you so embarrassed or nervous or unconfident when it comes to speaking Spanish that you don't even try to talk to people? Well, today I'm going to teach you how to get over nervousness when speaking Spanish. Now, one of the biggest reasons that I see students not even trying to speak Spanish with people is because of the storylines that they have in their head. They say, people are going to laugh at me. People are going to think that my Spanish is super bad, and I'm going to try to say the few things I know, and it's going to be super embarrassing. But the reality is, people do not care about your bad Spanish. In fact, many times it's the exact opposite. The second that you go and try to speak Spanish with people, they are going to want to help you. And if someone laughs at you when speaking Spanish, know that most times they're not laughing at you, but they're laughing with you. It's extremely important to not let perfection hold you back from even trying, because the reality is mistakes are inevitable. And it always amazes me when students come to me and they say, Nate, I am struggling so much with speaking Spanish. It is by far the hardest aspect of learning the language. In fact, I can easier understand the language than I can speak it. And I ask them, how often are you speaking? And the response is almost always never to very little. Think of it like working out a muscle group. If you're constantly working out your legs but never your arms, why would you expect your arms to get huge? So if you want to get better at speaking, and if you want to not be nervous when speaking the language, then you have to speak. You have to use the speaking muscle. Now, in high school, the way that I would use my speaking muscle was by practicing with my Spanish-speaking friends. But I was also fortunate enough to have grown up in a Spanish-speaking community, so I would always go to one of my favorite restaurants, Patty's. Now, this place was old school. They made their own tortillas. You could only pay in cash. It was super, super authentic. And I remember going in there and I would order my food in Spanish. And I remember one time I tried to say, Hola, puedo pedir, blah, blah, or quisiera un burrito, blah, blah, blah. And the woman had said to me, hey, Nate, instead of saying quisiera un burrito, better to say me das, for example. So remember, if someone corrects you when speaking Spanish, you should take that as a compliment. In fact, don't worry if someone corrects you. Don't get discouraged. In fact, you're learning the language, right? So you want to be corrected. You want to be learning from your mistakes, because if no one tells you what you're doing wrong, how are you ever going to learn? By going into Spanish-speaking restaurants or Spanish-speaking establishments within my community, I started to build up my confidence speaking in Spanish with people that I didn't know. If you want to become conversationally fluent in Spanish as fast as possible, check out the Fluent Spanish Speaker Academy. Here's what some of our current members have to say. Claudette, a USC med student, says, I've taken a few semesters of Spanish classes at my college, but using Nate's course helps me facilitate my knowledge to a whole other degree. I become more comfortable with the language, and I've learned to love the journey. Bald and Bankrupt, the travel YouTuber with millions of subscribers, says, keep it up, Nate. This is my main source for learning the Spanish lingo. Now, a great way to build up your confidence and not be nervous when speaking Spanish is to find Spanish-speaking friends. Maybe start speaking to them in English at first and a little Spanish, and over time you kind of build up to speaking more and more Spanish, because this way you're speaking the language with someone you know and trust. You say, okay, I feel comfortable with this person speaking in English, so hopefully I can build this up when it comes to Spanish. Of course, sometimes you might be nervous speaking to people in English when they're strangers. Totally normal. But if you want to build up your confidence and not be nervous when speaking Spanish, I recommend you find someone you already know and trust and speak to in English and practice your Spanish with them. So the unfortunate reality is that The real way that you're going to get over nervousness and embarrassment when speaking Spanish is just by doing it, okay? It really at first might be a hard pill to swallow, but trust me, the more and more that you are speaking the language, the more and more comfortable and confident you are going to become. A lot of times I tell students that this is kind of like a presentation. Do you remember having to give presentations in front of the class in high school or college? A lot of times you were probably quite nervous. Now, preparation probably made you feel more confident. Once you started actually giving the presentation, at first you might have been a little nervous, but as time went on, you became less nervous, you felt confident, you got in your rhythm. It's the same thing with speaking Spanish. So there you have it. If you want to get over nervousness when speaking Spanish, then you just need to speak. It's going to take time. Relax, go slow, speak slow. That's especially important. Let people correct you. Don't be embarrassed by that. And realize people are not going to judge you based off of your bad Spanish. In fact, people are going to want to help you. Well, muchas gracias por ver este video. Espero que tengas un muy bonito día. If you want to learn more Spanish with me, go to SpanishWithNate.com. Hasta luego.